As soon as the film begins, we meet a fisherman from Syracuse who was in search of fish in the sea, but for many days there was no fish in his net. As soon as he felt his net was full, he immediately pulled it out of the water and was shocked to see that there was a living girl in it whose condition was very bad. In an emergency he gives CPR to this girl himself, but his condition was still very bad, so to take him to the doctor, the ship was about to turn back, but the girl refused him from Syracuse and said, "Don't take me anywhere. I'm actually scared of people. Promise me you will hide me." His words were strange, but he did not say anything in Syracuse and took him to his mother's house, which was far away on an island. Neither did the people know about him, nor did anyone come there. After many days of not getting fish, his financial condition was also very bad. Whatever he had to eat, he gave it all to this girl, and himself went to his ex-wife's house to get his daughter. Here we know that Syracuse's daughter Annie has a double kidney failure. That is, both her kidneys have failed and due to not getting a donor. She has to get dialysis again and again. During dialysis, Annie asks her dad to tell her a story, and Syracuse tells her today's story that once upon a time there was a poor fisherman who used to go to the sea every day to catch fish, but for many days there was no fish in his net, and then one day it happened that a beautiful girl got stuck in his net. Annie cuts him off and asks if she was Sturkey. Syracuse did not know about the Sturkey bird. Then Annie tells that Sturkey is actually a creature like humans living in the sea who sings magical songs and can do anything with their magical songs. "And you know, Dad, these Sturkeys also live on the ground. They have their own seal coat, which if they drown in the ground, they can live on the ground for 7 years. They can live until the sea itself calls them back." After hearing all this, Syracuse can only say, because he didn't know much about the girl on the beach, he didn't even know her name. Anyway, now Annie's dialysis was also over, after which he drops Annie to her mom's house. He himself comes to his house. The next day, when he was about to go fishing, he heard that the girl was singing. There was really some magic in her voice, which reminded Syracuse of his daughter Annie, that is this girl Sturkey. Anyway, he shook his thoughts and started bringing his boat closer. Then this girl said, "Can I also go fishing with you?" Syracuse said, "Look, it's up to you. There will be a lot of people there. You will be uncomfortable yourself." But despite this girl's insistence, Syracuse agreed. Going to the sea, Syracuse asks him about his song, about which this girl does not give a special answer. Now Syracuse asks him, "Do you remember anything about your family? Do you remember your name?" This girl acts as if she doesn't remember anything about herself. But she says to Syracuse, "You can call me Ondine." Ondine is a French word which means a girl out of water. Anyway, now Syracuse takes out his lobster trap and sees that nothing was trapped in his net even today. But his situation was so bad that he could not go without hunting. He put the traps back in the water, and this time Ondine started singing. She kept singing. After that, when Syracuse set up his trap, surprisingly, there was a lobster trapped in each of his traps, which not only surprised him but also made him happy. This girl was proven lucky for him. He says to Ondine, "Will you come fishing with me every day? You are lucky for me, and I will give you money for this." After catching a lot of lobsters, Syracuse comes back to the town where he had to pick him up from his daughter's school. Ondine was on her motor-wheel chair at this time, while Syracuse is in his car. Ondine tells him to continue the story that he had left yesterday. Then Syracuse tells him that the girl who came out of the sea, her voice was magical. Whenever the fisherman took her on his boat for fishing, the girl sang a song, and a lot of fish got trapped in the fisherman's net. Now Syracuse had heard so many stories that Ondine's mom came home. Syracuse told her to go home and turned to the other side because he had just come to pick her up. But now Annie was following him because Annie thought that the story her dad was telling her was true, and her dad was hiding something from her. That's why she started following her dad. And then her suspicion turned into reality when she actually saw a girl at her dad's house for whom her dad had brought some new clothes. Then Syracuse asks Ondine, "How long are you going to stay here?" To which Ondine replies, "It depends on you." And then Syracuse came out of the sea, "You can stay here forever." And listening to this, Ondine was happy. Here he tells Ondine that "I have told Annie about you, but not like you are true. I have told her about you in the form of a story." And this did not upset Ondine, but she liked it. Now on the other side, Annie, who had seen a girl at her dad's house, felt that she was a Syracuse girl. And now Syracuse exists in the real world or not. To investigate this, she goes to a library and borrows some books from there. And on the other side, we see Syracuse, who had come to the church to confess his sins. Actually, he and his wife used to be very bad drug addicts at one time. And at that time his daughter got very ill, about which he found out a long time ago. And then when Syracuse took him to the doctor, he found out that his daughter had a double kidney failure. Knowing this, he completely broke down, and he decided that now he would leave everything, because a single parent had to be cured to take care of his daughter. And his wife was not the material to be cured. That's why he divorced his wife. But then the court did not give Syracuse Annie's custody because he was a normal fisherman. He didn't have enough money to take care of his daughter. Annie lived in her mother's house, but Syracuse did all Annie's work himself. After all this confession, Syracuse also tells the priest that he has found a girl from the sea whom he has brought to his house. The priest listened to all the things very carefully. But the priest did not pay much attention to this last thing because it seemed like a story. After the confession, Annie comes to her dad's house, where she sees Ondine singing while swimming. Seeing her singing, Annie comes close to her and asks loudly, "Are you from Syracuse? Can you cure her with your magical song? Where is your seal coat? I know you have a seal coat too. If you bury it in the ground, you will live here for another 7 years." Annie was talking a lot. She understood from all these stories that she is Syracuse's daughter because Syracuse told her that he told his daughter about Ondine in the form of a story. That's why he didn't answer any of Annie's questions. On the other hand, Syracuse has also gone to the library because somewhere he also doubts Annie's story that Ondine has come from another world. He also feels that Ondine is a circus. That's why whenever she sings, a lot of fish get trapped in her net. Here in this movie we are introduced to a new character. Who is he? Where did he come from? We don't know about him yet, but it is clear that he is looking for Ondine. The next day Syracuse takes Ondine again to catch fish. He throws his net in the sea, and Ondine starts singing. As soon as he sees, his net is filled with a lot of small and big fish. And as soon as Syracuse pulls the net up, the guards standing far away are also surprised to see this net of fish. And they come to check on Syracuse's boat. They were now doubting that Syracuse had something illegal through which he was catching so many fish. Seeing the guards coming towards him, Syracuse quickly tells Ondine to hide. And when the guards come and search everything here, first they don't get anything straight from here. When the guards leave, they see Ondine there, about whom they started questioning Syracuse. So Syracuse asked him, is it illegal to bring a girl on the boat? He really had no answer to this. So he left Syracuse, but before leaving, he definitely asked this question, "What are you doing that so many fish are stuck in your net?" After leaving the guards, Syracuse tells Ondine it would be better if you come in front of everyone so that there are no more questions. Ondine also comes in front of everyone at the behest of Syracuse, and people start looking at her. She was feeling very strange. She was confused. After leaving the port, Ondine told Syracuse, "People look at me with strange eyes as if I don't look good." Then Syracuse says, "No, you are very beautiful." Finally, Syracuse introduces Annie to Ondine. She was very happy to meet Ondine. She thought Ondine was a sea creature. Syracuse goes shopping with Ondine and Annie. The next day Annie comes to Syracuse's house again, where she meets Ondine again. After a while, Ondine finds out that Annie doesn't know how to swim, and she starts teaching Annie how to swim. After teaching her how to swim, she left Annie on the ground, but her foot got stuck in something strange. When she took it out, she saw that it was a net that had some special things in it. Annie quickly said, "I know you have a sailcoat in it. You quickly put it in the ground so that you can stay here for 7 years." After hearing this, Ondine did not answer much, and they both hid the bag in the backyard of the house. Here Ondine said to Annie, "Look, no one should know this. This will be their secret." The next day there was a small function in the town, which was on the seaside. Syracuse took Ondine and Annie, where Annie did a mischief to check Ondine's powers and jumped into the water herself. To save Annie, Ondine immediately went into the water and saved her from the water. She was in a very bad condition, so Syracuse left her at her mom's house and then came home with Ondine. Syracuse was very upset. He was guilty that he did not take care of his daughter. Here Ondine relaxes him, and the two of them get very close. Now, the next day, after getting close to these two, Syracuse began to feel guilty again that Ondine is a human being. He goes to church and confesses that he is close to a girl about whom he does not know whether she is from the land or the sea. Even today the priest did not take much action on this confession. As soon as he came out of the confession he met a stranger. He was the same man who had shown us Syracuse's ship a while ago to find Ondine. This man asks Syracuse about Ondine, but Syracuse ignores him and moves on. The next scene shows that Annie was undergoing dialysis again today, where she told her dad that "I am having these bad dreams, and I think I will not survive now." But his dad makes him believe that nothing will happen to you. You will stay with me, and everything will be fine. After the session, when Syracuse takes Annie to his mom's house, he sees that his mom was not at home and the house was locked. Now Syracuse went to the city to find Annie's mom, and taking advantage of this, the stranger who was looking for Ondine reached Syracuse's house. Thank God Ondine had already heard his arrival. She hid in the house. Here Syracuse finds his ex-wife, to whom he asks for the house keys, but she refuses to give the girl and says it's okay, let Annie stay here, Annie will be fine here. Although he had just had a dialysis session, Syracuse had to leave his daughter there and come home. As soon as he came home he was shocked because he did not find Ondine anywhere. As soon as he went behind the house he saw a man who was very scared. Here Syracuse asks him, "Why are you hiding here? And today a man came to me looking for you. Who is that man?" "What do you think?" Ondine replied, "He is my crazy husband, with whom I want to stay away." Syracuse did not want to disturb him much, so he said, "Okay, you wish that you get rid of that man." But here Ondine wished for Annie to be fine instead of wishing for herself. Hearing this, Syracuse felt strange because he did not know what had happened to his daughter. Annie, who was going home with her drunk mom, her mom had an accident with her boyfriend's car because they were both drunk. In this accident the man was killed. Annie's mom was also badly injured, while Annie had minor injuries, but she was unconscious. Many hours later, when she regained consciousness, the doctors came to her and gave her a very big news. Alex, Annie's mom's boyfriend, who died in this accident, was registered as a donor, and his kidney was perfectly matched with Annie's. Annie's life could have been saved by giving her kidney to Annie. Hearing this, Syracuse's happiness was not getting better, and he immediately agreed for the operation. Annie's operation is finally successful, and here you can see that the person who donated Annie's kidney was her funeral, where Syracuse also gave his ex-wife a heart massage. And to relax his ex-wife, he also took her to the pub, where he got into his ex-wife's trap and drank a lot this time. And because of this, he started getting many strange thoughts. In a drunk state he now comes to his boat, where Ondine was hiding from the man behind her. He also tells Ondine to go back to her husband, but Ondine tells him her truth, that she is not his wife, she is not even married. But Syracuse didn't understand any of this. Then he realized that Ondine had lied to him, that she is really a creature living in the sea. That's why he left her near the sea. In the next scene, he now brought Annie to his house, because he needed to take care of her every time. As soon as Annie comes home, she asks him about Ondine, and then Ondine went back. Annie didn't feel bad after hearing this because she knew Ondine would definitely come back because she didn't take her shell coat with her. While watching Annie's TV, Annie watches a French channel on which a French band was singing. This was the same song that Ondine always sang. And listening to this song, Syracuse got a big shock, and he found out that Ondine was telling the truth. It wasn't a magical song, it was a song in French. And the fish he caught in his presence was only because of his luck. Thinking this, he was very triggered that where did he leave Ondine helplessly near the sea. To rectify his mistake, he immediately went to the place where he had left Ondine. And he found Ondine shivering near the watchtower. She was surprised to see Syracuse here. Syracuse tells her that I heard your song on TV, and I am convinced that you're a human being. But now tell me the truth. Why did you come here, and why are you running away from that man? What is the truth of your life? Here she tells the truth that she is a drug dealer. She used to work with a very big gangster, and one day when they were smuggling a lot of drugs through a sea journey, they were caught by the police. Ondine jumped into the water. Her companion was the same stranger who was looking for her again and again. Her companion told her that whatever happens, don't take the bag of drugs off your shoulders. But it was getting difficult for Ondine to survive with the bag of drugs. To save her life, Ondine threw the bag, and then suddenly she got trapped in the trap of Syracuse. That's why that man was looking for Ondine and came after Syracuse. Ondine had done the wrong thing, but now Ondine had changed. She started feeling pity for Ondine in this condition. That's why he brought Ondine back to his house. But when he came home, he was shocked to see that the man had already entered the house and made Annie a captive, so that Syracuse could easily tell him the whereabouts of Ondine. And Annie had told him everything, that Ondine is a girl from the sea, and she will definitely come back here because she has also left her seal coat here. That man tells her that it is not the girl's seal coat, but the drugs wrapped in the bushes. Hearing this, Annie did not understand anything. In the meantime, Ondine and Syracuse came in front of the man. This man thoughtlessly started killing Ondine and asked her about the drugs. To save herself, Ondine took her to the bushes where there were no drugs. Now in anger, this man started hitting Ondine. Before he took her life, Annie says that he hid Ondine's seal coat on his dad's boat. Now the next scene shows us the boat where everyone was looking for the bag of drugs. Like crazy, that man was also looking for the bag of drugs, where Ondine suddenly deceives that man and throws him into the sea. And in this way, all of them get rid of him. Ondine did not want to be a part of any more crimes, so she picked up the drugs and threw them into the water. Annie was ready to start a new life. In the last scene of the story, we are shown Ondine and Syracuse getting married, where they will spend the rest of their lives with Annie and live happily. And just by showing this, the story ends here.